Well, hello.
Hello, Friday.
Hello.
Friday.
No sweet and sour cap tonight, Don. No, just chicken.
No.
Just thought I'd ask.
Yeah.
Good evening, gentlemen. Here we are.
Good
again.
evening, Tom. Happy New Year.
Thanks for tuning
Good
in.
evening.
Yes, good evening. Here we go again.
Yeah.
And we thought this year we'd try and create a little bit of organisation. Try, I say. And we're going to have a series of these episodes because we appreciate not everybody wants the in-depth sort of Friday sort of, getting hit over the head with a lot of education and force-fed some statistics and some scientific facts by Don, but some do like that, some of us. So, yes, Don's going to be doing school. We're going to be doing School of Don probably once a month, something that Dong's got up his wizard's sleeve, as I say. Slide for tonight is on carbon dosing, so can't wait for this. But yes, we are going to try and mix it up a little bit this year. But thanks, Dong, for putting the effort in, as always. You are a star, you really are, and you have
Thank you.
Foundation of this network on the Friday stream. So thanks again for that. Jamie, you good? You good?
Yeah, very good, mate. Very good. Friday is always a good time. Yes, loads going on. And looking forward to hearing Dong talking about vodka tonight.
That's it. And what I was thinking is, I actually did send him a message saying he should get a bottle of vodka on his desk because we've not seen much on his desk for a while now. And
I got the vinegar instead.
That's disappointing. So I was hoping that every time he said vodka, we could get him to drink a vodka, maybe, and see how the show ended. Maybe. Anyway, Steph, nice to have you back on again, Mama. You good?
Yeah, missed you. Yeah, good. Yeah, nothing much happening here. Just massaging seahorses' stomachs. Got a bit of trapped gas. So, yeah, that's my highlight this week, really.
Family all right? Family good?
Yeah. I've bits at the shops. So, baby's with me again on the stream, but he's sleeping. So, no doubt he'll probably wake up at the worst time, but he's good.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Just shake him around a bit and see if he wakes up.
And that's why he's in the chair. So I'm just like, if you see me like this,
just in case there's any like projectile vomiting, while we're on camera. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I did have a nice grey because all of the reefer stuff is quite dark. Little stains of milk that looked quite suspicious, so I had to change it to.
I've just realised is that a My Little Pony? You okay?
Yeah, it themed with the ponies, My Little Ponies. So it's a phase. It's a phase. I'll grow out of it.
So we're calling tonight's episode. These episodes are going to be School with Dong. We nearly went School of Dong, but I do know a lot of people watching may have got a different interpretation of that theme. So to keep it clean, we went with School with Dong. Okay, School with Dong, not School of Dong.
Discussions.
Wash your mouth out. Sorry, get rid of those. Yeah, it's School with Dong. So it's carbon dose tonight. Right, let's jump in. Who's with us? We have, of course, John Wright is here, always in the front. Good evening, John.
Good evening, John.
Gaza. Yes, it's Friday. He'll be more than likely spanned halfway through. Nice to see you, Gaz. That'd be good. Here we are. Neil. You got your Ion B. Should have been sent out to you from Exodus. If not, it will be beginning next week. If not tomorrow.
Nice.
He won the Ion B set, if you remember, at one of the quizzes we had at Christmas. Well done, Neil. That'd be good. New tanks coming on well. What else we got in here? Texas with us as well. Nice to see you, Techers. Stephen Owen, some regular faces and names again. Thanks for the support. Anthony, good evening. Hope you're good. Tony Close Reef, here we are. Smash that like button. Thanks for joining us. Coach, I spoke to you in a bit. Hope you're good. Very good Christmas and New Year, my man. Junior, hope you're good. Thanks for tuning in. I haven't got the voiceover, but I'm sure you can imagine if Ron was pressing the button, the noise it would play. Good evening, baby Dave. That'd be good. Yes, plenty of people carbon dosing. Looking forward to seeing you at the Reef meet, which obviously we're going to push a little bit more when we get Steph with his magic Instagram and whatever his videography abilities to help us post about that AAC on the 20th of February. So looking forward to seeing people that are going to be joining in on that. John Costello, here we are. Thanks for tuning in. Hope you're good. Critical Reef is with us. Hope you're good. It'll be a good week. Harry West is in the house as well. Good evening. good afternoon again, depending on where you are in the world, but most of you the UK, good evening. Reef Rondo House, here he is, Ronaldo. Hope you're good, my man. Julian Paul, hello.
Hello.
Marky Mark, Ocean Seawave Products, thanks for tuning in.
Mark.
Jackson, hope you're good. I think I've said hello to some of them. Here we go. Acro Addict J, that's a new one.
Oh,
nice.
wow.
Very
Hello.
cool name. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the support. Woody's here as well. Chris is here. Urans, hope you're good.
Mhm.
William Schneider, thanks for tuning in. Xavier, thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the support. Prime Corals, nice to see you. Spillers, hope you're good. Reefy Reese is in the house. Good evening. Here we go. Nice to see you on Steve's channel the other day. Amazing tank. Really nice tank.
Come across really well as well. It's really interesting. That was.
Yes. Lovely chap. Who else we got in here? Digital Corals, Tony.
Wow.
Yeah. I missed anybody? Intrinsic Reef, hope you're good. Howdy. Have I missed anybody? Mo, of course, I've missed Mo. Sorry, Mo. Mo's coming down to the meet at AAC. Should be good.
Mo's going to buy
all the way from Leicester.
He's going to buy all of Rob's Abyss pumps as well, I think.
Yes. Keith Lottie, 6085. Good evening, Keith. Thanks for tuning in. And we've got James, Mr. Marlott, with us in the house as well. Thank you very much to the 50 odd of you that have tuned in. If you haven't done so, please smash the like button, give us a subscribe.
Mm-hmm.
So, as I said at the beginning, it's over to Dong in a second. But yes, so we're going to try and mix it up this year. Dong's got so much knowledge, as we all know. And sometimes it can be rather intense, which some people love. And some people just want to kick back on a Friday with a beer or a glass of wine. I get that. So we are trying to mix it up this year. So, you know, you will get notified of when it's going to be School with Dong or School of Dong, however your mind takes you.
Yeah.
But tonight we're going to start talking about carbon dosing, aren't we, Mr. Zhao?
Yep. Yes.
Okay. So,
okay.
Over to you.
Yeah. Carbon dosing. Well, here you go. The vodka on the screen.
Yes. Is that an empty bottle?
It could be full bottle.
That's
you just cannot see the line. Yeah, it's full to the brim. So I would like to be more interactive. So people in the audience, feel free to ask questions. So we are going to have a discussion instead of like force feeding like a duck or something like that. No, that's not my intention. So because that I try to share what I know, and then of course that my knowledge is limited, and I'm welcome for people to bring in your opinion so we can have an open discussion. That's what the science is about. Science is to find out why I am wrong. That's the key point. Yep.
We can help you with that.
And at no stage this evening are we going to cover a recipe of sweet and sour chicken, just to clarify for the audience.
No sweet and sour chicken tonight. Okay.
Okay, over to you.
So that's the origin of what this carbon dosing concept come from. It's called bio flock technology. In US, we like to say, go flock yourself. Well,
okay.
Yeah, for the people who want to do bioflock in a smaller setting or at home to grow shrimps, fish for farming. Well, actually, this is a technology supposed to save water, as well as you can farm fish and shrimp in a very small area. So it's a bioflock technology. It's all started around like the late 1990, that kind of thing. So the bioflock technology, what it means is that bio, of course, that is relying on bacteria and algae. So to take up the nutrient and also generate food for the shrimp and fish. The flocking part, yes, basically, there's one key ingredient in this mud pool. If you ever see this thing in reality, in person, and then you go to supermarket to buy some fish, you will think twice by looking at this muddy brownish kind of bubbly thing pond that have all these shrimp and fish in there. So the flocking part, because because there's one key ingredient in this mud pool is calcium carbonate. Basically, it's a suspension of molasses, those are sugar byproducts, mixed with calcium carbonate as some kind of carrier. That made me think about coral snow.
Yeah.
Also, yeah, exactly. Think about it. Instead of white coral snow in your reef tank, you got something brown and filthy thing in this pond and bubbling with tons of air, and your fish is swimming around it. So this is what they call the biofloc technology. So I think the primary idea is to save water. So you can changing water is not part of the technology, I believe. Okay, so this is the basis and the origin of the carbon dosing technology coming from. So basically, we're all frocking ourselves by carbon dosing.
I'm
Sorry.
keeping my hands above the desk, okay?
Yeah. Answer that on a Friday night.
Okay, next slide, please. The theory is organic carbon being eaten by bacteria. Then you produce carbon dioxide as byproduct. Of course, that are providing energy, and also the carbon is incorporated into the cell of the bacteria. And then the fish and just gonna eat it or either export it, so that way you can remove organic nutrient out of the system. So that is the actually I think this idea is well understood in our hobby. Basically, dosing carbon in there, and then the bacteria are going to consume this carbon. Actually, is like force feeding the bacteria. When the bacteria grow, it take away the phosphorus and nitrogen. Remember that fracking idea about the refuel ratio?
Yeah.
So the refuel ratio is 3 components: carbon, phosphorus, and nitrogen.
Nitrogen.
So,
Yeah.
yep, with approximately ratio about 100 carbon versus about 16 nitrogen and 1 phosphorus. So that is basically when the algae take in this nutrient. So in order to remove phosphorus and nitrogen out of the water column, you need a lot of carbon. So that's where this carbon dosing, this name coming from. Then that's the basic idea about it. And if you look at the equation on it, all the carbon dosing produce carbon dioxide as a byproduct. That reminds me, another thing.
So that'll affect your pH then.
Absolutely. Guess what is a big carbon dosing of a reef? Formate. Calcium formate. This is how one component additive for both calcium and alkalinity. That's the principle, how it works. It basically is the bacteria eat the formic acid, and then it produce carbon dioxide. And the carbon dioxide in the water, because our seawater has higher pH, the carbon dioxide will be converted into bicarbonate, and that's where the alkalinity coming from. So I do see some video online saying that, nah, that's not a carbon dosing. But in reality, if something happened, if a cat looks like a cat, have a genetic of a cat, smells like a cat, behaves like a cat, that's a freaking cat. So no matter what you do, so all the one component additive for calcium and alkalinity, they all belong to carbon dosing. Okay, so let's put this thing up front first. So next slide, please. Let's keep moving on. So this is a scientific paper because that when I do my research, I deliberately ignore anything that is not coming from scientific community. When you do an AI, artificial intelligence search, normally they will present you all this bullshit. And then you have to click the link to see where this information coming from.
Yeah.
If this information does not contain, is not coming from a scientific literature, delete. So that's not being looked at. We only look at what the scientific literature telling us. Actually, there's quite a lot. So this is one of the paper talk about the carbon nitrogen ratio, just like I mentioned earlier. Yeah, with this pseudo refuel ratio, you need a lot of carbon in order to promote the bacterial growth. They take in nitrogen and phosphorus and then reduce your nitrate and phosphate. So that's just one of the old paper. Next slide, please. Oh, you got a question?
No, it's so overwhelming. We've been talking because carbon dosing, just to time out for a second. Carbon dosing has been talked about on and off quite a lot. And I think there's obviously this is the reason for tonight's sort of chat slide, and sort of lesson is there's not much explained about it, because quite often we talk about it, don't we? Oh, I'm carbon dosing. I don't think people understand the concept and like how it affects or how it impacts on a reef tank, and not just in a reef tank, just in general day to day as well. So yeah, I think it's really interesting for me. But sorry, just before we do, I'm just going to jump out and say good evening to a few more people that have jumped in. Good evening, Lee. Hope you're good. How you doing, Matt? Nice to see you.
Hello.
Thanks for tuning in with us. K13, hope you're good. But yes, no, there'll be no quiz later. People are thinking there might be a quiz later. Maybe. But no, sorry, Don. I just want to say that because Jamie, Steph, you talked about carbon dosing before, much in the hobby? Either of you?
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Tom. Like, the only exposure I've had to it as a lay reefer is I've got high nitrates. Oh, you need to carbon dose. And that's as much as I've ever been told, as much as I've ever understood about it. I've slowly sort of schooled myself a little bit, but I think for us lay aquarists, it's just if you've got high nitrate, it's something to try, isn't it? And that's as much as we all know.
Yeah. I think when I did the switch to Modern Reef, I looked into. I read it in an article before it was in the UK actually, and I was like, "This sounds really good." And it said it includes carbon dosing within the 4-part system, and that's when I started to really do the research on it. But to be fair, when nitrate, like Jamie just said, when the nitrates do kick up a bit, you're not supposed to do it. So hopefully Ali doesn't see this, but I do actually carbon dose as well for those pesky nutrients.
So for matter of fact, carbon. Go ahead. Sorry.
So
go ahead.
It's only really quite a modern thing where brands have actually produced products for it. Back when we all first started out, when I first started out 20 years ago, it was a case of vodka or sugar. But now you can get actual products off the shelf that are geared for it. So it's obviously got tried and tested sort of dose rates and all that sort of stuff now. I'm sure it's become more mainstream, right?
Yeah, it has become more. But what I will say is I have become to realize that carbon dosing can also encourage other types of growth. Which are what you want in a reef.
You've got to start super light when you do it.
Yes. Sorry, Don. Back to you. Sorry.
Because the carbon dosings, like the biofloc system, is for commercial aquaculture. That there's money. Then there's a research. For matter of fact, in the past 2 decades, carbon dosing has been extensively researched, but somehow many of the scientific finding didn't get passed through to our hobby. So I'm trying to do that today is to leak some of the thing as much as possible into the hobby. So then we will see that how much research and what kind of conclusion that the scientific community already have on carbon dosing. So there's let's go to the next slide, please. Okay, on the biofloc system, what they use is molasses. Actually, what they want to use is sugar. Well, carbon dosing for reef tank using sugar, like 15 years ago, it's pretty popular. The reason they use molasses because they're cheap, because it's a byproduct. So I won't recommend dosing molasses in our precious reef tank because we do not, the cost of sugar or the chemical is not a big factor for our hobby. So let the molasses go away. Next slide, please. Talk about molasses. This is Boston. Remember well, in your history book, the place where I live, right?
You are from Boston, sugar. Not us. Not
yes.
us. We didn't get talk about this.
Boston disaster.
Yeah.
Never heard of it. Never heard of it.
You never heard of it? Oh my goodness.
Everybody got carbon.
Okay. So back in 1918 or something like that, back then, there is a gigantic drum. It's a water tower of molasses in the Boston downtown. That is a storage area. We have gazillion gallons of this kind of freaking brown liquid in it. And then one day, that storage tower broke. It created a wave of molasses just killing many people, just flooded the Boston area with the sweet and dark sugar. That is what the Boston molasses disaster is.
When was that?
I think it's in 1918 or something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, because every school children here in Massachusetts, they need to learn about this history of Boston. Used to be, it's just like a wave. Try to imagine the doomsday scenario instead of have this gigantic tsunami come in. It come in a very sweet form.
Tasty sugar.
Dark and sweet. Tastes good. But then they actually get people drowned in it. So that is the Boston's molasses disaster. Okay, let's move on. Sugar. Oh my God. These days, the sugar is a prime evil for nutrition, right? So it used to be salt, fat. Now it's sugar. Okay. Now we talk about sugar in general is a preferable carbon source for many, many organisms in the ocean. For matter of fact, sugar, aka glucose, the coral can directly take in glucose from the water column. So when you're dosing sugar as a carbon source, you're actually feeding your coral at the same time.
That's interesting.
Back then,
the glucose doesn't exist in the wild ocean, though, right?
Oh no, it does, because that the symbiosis algae, what they produce,
of course, yeah, okay.
Primarily is glucose to feed the coral. So coral get their sugar high mostly from its symbiosis algae.
But that's within the tissue, though, isn't it? They wouldn't. It wouldn't.
That's within the tissue.
It wouldn't exist naturally in solution to absorb it, though, right?
Actually, in the ocean, there's so many sugar in there. Algae produce sugar. I mean, macroalgae. The symbiosis algae, the dinoflagellate inside the coral produce sugar. So sugar basically is what the coral are feeding on from their symbiosis algae. They all have sweet tooths.
So every time you make a tea or a coffee, you can put a spoon of sugar in your reef tank.
Then what about the caffeine? Oh, the caffeine. Never think about that.
But there's many different sugars, and there's glucose, fructose.
Yes, of course there is. Yes.
Yes.
So there is.
Dosing fructose is part of it. Mostly it's glucose for in the ocean for the sugar. So, okay. So let's go to the next slide. And this is article about sugar. Basically, it's glucose. Brings lots of carbon dioxide into the deep sea. That is from the coral and organism metabolize sugar, produce carbon dioxide. So think about it. Every carbon dosing produce carbon dioxide. So think about it.
Just like we do.
Oh, yes. Yeah, just like we do. And think about it. Then if you're using a method to produce carbon dioxide inside the water, under the water, to create alkalinity, then you have to think about it. Your pH is going to get affected, right?
Yeah.
Yes. And also there's another side effect. Algae is capable of utilizing carbon dioxide as well as bicarbonate as their carbon source. And coral only utilize bicarbonate. If you generate carbon dioxide in the water, you create a supersaturated situation of carbon dioxide in the water and actually benefiting the algae to outcompete your coral. Just for the food for thought. And if you're at the same time, you're using some sort of gizmo like CO2 scrubber, you were scrubbing on the outside. Then you're using the 1-part dosing method to generate carbon dioxide inside. What the fuck are you doing? Right? You have to think about this way.
Right, let's just sorry, let me just put a pin in that. Just rewind. Just rewind a second there. So let's just go back to to reef tanks at home. Just start again. Go again, please. Reef tank at home. How does this affect? So you were saying about the algae, the carbon dioxide. How would people understand that watching at home? How that affects their tank at home?
Okay, so in this case, we need to talk about the Kaltwasser as a comparison.
Okay.
For generate alkalinity. So what the Kaltwasser actually reduce the carbon dioxide concentration in the water because that the Kaltwasser converting whatever carbon dioxide dissolved in the water into bicarbonate. Now, you're in a situation, you have much less carbon dioxide in the water, much higher concentration of the bicarbonate. In this case, because algae can, including the macroalgae, so the competitor for coral, so algae can utilize carbon dioxide and bicarbonate for their carbon source to grow. Okay, and coral only can utilize bicarbonate, cannot utilize carbon dioxide. So when you have a higher concentration of carbon dioxide in the water column, you are actually benefiting the algae outside of the coral.
Yes. So
that means that the coral being outcompeted. So that's the idea. So when you're using Kaltwasser, it's benefiting coral because it reduces the carbon dioxide concentration. If you are using a carbon dioxide bubbling method inside to generate alkalinity, you're actually benefiting the algae.
So by having the higher pH then and eliminating or reducing the CO2, the carbon dioxide, you are taking that away from the I don't mean the algae in the coral, but you're taking that food source almost, or energy source, away from potential nuisance algae.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So let me give you one example. At pH 7.8, assuming all the carbon dioxide is coming from the atmosphere, so the ratio of carbon dioxide to bicarbonate is 1 to 50. When the pH raised to 8.1 or 8.2, then the ratio for carbon dioxide to bicarbonate become 1 to 120.
Wow.
So the higher the pH, dramatically less carbon dioxide in the water. But we are talking about the carbon dioxide only entering from the atmosphere. If you have a carbon dioxide generated inside your tank, plus atmosphere carbon dioxide, you will have a carbon dioxide overload.
Can you give us an example, Dong? You say in your tank, what sort of things are we talking about?
Okay, so that means that preferably, so when we're using carbon dosing, only for eliminating nitrate and phosphate or reduce nitrate phosphate, the dosage is small. That means the carbon dioxide generated from carbon dosing for the purpose of reducing nitrate and phosphate, it only generates a small amount of carbon dioxide. But if you use this same mechanism to generate carbon dioxide to increase your alkalinity, you are talking about 10-fold, 20-fold, 100-fold of carbon dioxide generation.
Right. Okay.
Yep. So that's the difference. Both are carbon dosing. But if I only use it for reduce nitrate and phosphate, your dosage is very small. Then the carbon dioxide generated from this process is negligible.
I never knew you could do it to affect alkalinity. Jamie, Steph, ever?
Oh, that's exactly how all4Re works. It's carbon dosing by generating carbon dioxide to get your alkalinity up. That is a principal mechanism underneath behind it. That is why I do not use it.
I guess you need pretty good gas exchange and surface movement to stop it becoming a problem, though, right?
Yes, that's why flow and your protein schema are actually quite important when you're doing carbon dosing, as well as when you're trying to use the single component to increase your alkalinity.
Yeah.
Okay, so yep, let's go to the next slide. And this is a slide telling you that yes, the coral can eat sugar from the surrounding water. Just pretty much it. It's just one example that when you use sugar to do carbon dosing, well, you actually make the coral happier. They can take sugar out of the water column. So next slide, please. Now, so this is another thing tell you that coral and algae, not only they take in sugar, they can also excrete sugar. Most likely is macroalgae. They're releasing sugar all the time. And now come to this food for thought. Let's think about it. I remember like Sanjay or somebody did a calculation. When you have a refugium, your refugium need to be gigantic in order to get enough growth of macroalgae to incorporate and remove the sufficient amount of nitrogen and phosphorus.
Yeah.
But what we see is that many smaller refugium actually works pretty well, right? So people actually, the refugium pretty small. Algae has one particular interesting behavior. It's releasing sugar. So potentially, just think about it this way. Potentially, your refugium actually is a carbon dosing little source.
Yeah. But I've always learned that with refugiums, it's all to do with the surface area in terms of the lighting. So that's why a lot of people tumble it now, because like years ago it was kind of a stagnant, patch of Ketomorpha or whatever, and a lot of people tumble it now so that they get that added growth, don't they? So that they get that, they get the light, and they can obviously photosynthesize, etc., and convert that.
So that means that when you tumble, you are exposed to light all over the place. Then you grow faster.
Yes.
Then you have a larger algae mass. Big boy is bigger. Yeah. Then you release more sugar.
Yeah.
Did you say the corals excrete sugar as well, Don?
Yes. When it's really stressful.
When the coral's stressed.
Yeah, yes. You can release sugar. Most likely that's the case.
I don't know if anyone's ever done it, but if you sniff or smell a coral, like an acropora, or before it's coming or something.
You take it out.
There's a sweet. Sometimes there's a sweet smell.
Because the slime coat.
I'm telling you, Tom. I'm telling you.
Yes. You're correct.
There's a sweet smell. It's a sweet smell. It's like a sweet smell.
Because the slime coat, the coral excrete, yes, some complex sugar. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yes. Yep.
Okay.
All right. Go to the next slide.
What one dip or two of this acropora in your coffee?
So then why carbon dosing is not very popular using sugar? What I mean. So at the beginning, people using sugar for carbon dosing, but they do see problems. Next slide, please. Why that the problem is? Okay. This is a scientific study to find out why. Because too much sugar, it harms coral, the sweet tooth.
Mm.
Yeah. So the sugar is pretty difficult to control sometimes because that sugar it can many organisms are eating the sugar. So you really hard to control where the sugar actually go to. Is the sugar actually consumed by the bacteria you want them to grow, the beneficial bacteria, or the pathogenic bacteria, the algae, the coral, this and that is pretty much hard to control. And when people dosing sugar, very likely they overdose, and their coral suffers. That's why sugar become a less favorable way. That is, if you search on the internet, like Reef Central, well, if they still exist, Reef to Reef, and what the form, you can see, oh, people said sugar is so hard to control, it's a mess. That is why. Because they see negative response from coral by dosing sugar. Most likely overdosing sugar.
Wow.
So you see, all these things, they all have scientific background to back it up. And this has been existing all this year. So we do not have to invent series or because actually this has been well studied. That's what I'm saying, is that many of things about carbon dosing are well studied by the scientific community. So let's go to the next slide. Oh, go ahead.
When like 20 odd years ago, when I was first dabbling around in reef tanks and stuff, when carbon dosing came around to be a thing, sugar was the most common thing people were using.
Yes. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
sugar and vodka.
Just sugar.
Yeah.
That is because the biofloc is using sugar. That's where it's coming from.
I can see a T-shirt with Dong's face being put on.
Oh my God! Oh no!
Good evening, Tim. Hope you're good. Hope you're good, my man. Wait,
yeah, go biofloc myself.
Just gonna say hello to a few more people. Kevin Go. Hope you're good. Kevin Go. Thanks for tuning in. Hello, Scott. Hope you're good. Xavier Williams. Hope you're good. I had 10 ml of vinegar to 1 gallon of calc to supersaturate the calc. So little carbon dosing of myself.
Absolutely. Yes, that is how it works. Yeah. When you're adding vinegar into calc, you actually turn it into a one component dosing. And then the alkalinity is coming from carbon dosing, releasing carbon dioxide. You go to that route. If you use calc water by itself, the calc water is grabbing carbon dioxide from the atmosphere. If you add vinegar into your calc, it completely changes it. Now, that mixture of calc water plus vinegar become carbon dosing.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Actually, I would prefer people not to do that. You are not helping because you totally lost the benefit of calc water.
Okay.
Now you are lowering your pH instead of maintaining a higher pH by adding vinegar into your calc.
You're kind of contradicting the whole. Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Mm-hmm. And for matter of fact, if you look at Polyp Labs do sell a single component dosing method. Is calcium acetate, and it basically is just mixing your calc water with vinegar. That is a product on the market by Polyp Lab, calcium acetate.
Okay.
That is the product by mixing calc water and vinegar.
Interesting.
Do you know
Yeah, that's where it comes from.
Just going to go off on a really slight tangent here. I got some ammonium bicarbonate the other day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
£3, £3 for a bag this big.
Yeah.
I don't have to buy any nitrate plus ever again. That's me sorted. Absolutely saving a fortune. I couldn't believe how cheap it was for how much I got. Anyway, sorry, off on a tangent. Good evening, Corey from Nios and White Corals. Hope you're good. Thanks for having you.
Hey, Corey.
In the comments.
Hi,
Peter
Corey.
Parry is saying, I'll have to catch up later, being taken out for a meal. He's been retiring from Mountain Rescue.
Wow.
Rescue.
Have a good evening, Peter.
Mr. Parry. Have a good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Corey's saying, well, sugar is a big word. So you're going to have to spell that one for me.
The sucrose?
Sucrose is a problem. Glucose,
yeah, for humans.
And many other can be a huge benefit.
Lucozade.
Evening, Steve. Hope you're good.
Steve.
Too much science. No, never too much science. Okay. Right, there you go. Next slide, Don. Back to you.
Now we are looking at all the carbon dosing method from simple carbon to more complex carbon. Too much science. Let's just say methanol is the simplest carbon source for carbon dosing because you only have one carbon, single carbon for this chemical, methanol. So methanol has been used for carbon dosing and used to be quite popular. And we can go to the next slide to see what is consuming the methanol. So you can see, wow, it's a lot of bacteria, right? So we do not need to know what this freaking bacterial name is. It's just all gizmo. We just only, the take-home message is that plenty of stuff eats methanol. And then they grow and take out your phosphate and nitrate, achieving the final result. So methanol actually is a very good carbon dosing reagent, but it has its drawback. Next slide, please.
Do you know, sorry, Don, do you not think that a lot of the focus on carbon dosing has always been, like Jamie said earlier, about reducing, nitrate levels, reducing levels. You don't ever think about what else you might be growing. A bit like a kind of
it's why that is this slide 4 is that I'll tell you what they're growing. Okay, so apparently a bunch of this kind of thing are pretty okay. Those bacteria are fine. They're not good or bad, or as long as at least they're not really super evil. Okay, so this is one of the research talk about how to use a methanol for the marine denitrifying bacteria. So just show you, that research done on that. Okay, next slide. Then this is another article. You don't have to read all this text there. I just show you the thing is there. The article is there. So you take out that using methanol as basically as a carbon dosing reagent and blah 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 whatever. Yeah. Oh yeah. Really? But then formaldehyde will be taken up by other bacteria quickly.
Wow.
Yeah.
It just goes to show there is so much that goes off in that fish tank.
Yeah. So it only show you that so much research has been done in detail about carbon dosing. Okay.
Heavy this.
Okay, so too much science. Move on.
Yeah.
So right.
The message is that don't take notes. No, this is just show you the research is there. That's it.
God.
That's it.
Steph's normal Friday night is, does he have lamb, doner, chips?
We want to make it simple and easy. We are still talking about the single carbon. Okay, one carbon. Okay, let's move on. Now, the problem about using methanol as a carbon dosing at home is a big problem. First of all, methanol is highly flammable. Actually, you check your pantry. Do you have methanol in there? Probably not. Normally, we do not want methanol hanging around in our home. It's a fire hazard, and also what happens if you accidentally ingest some, or splash yourself with methanol because you dropped the freaking can. and you go blind, methanol is highly dangerous. So, folks, do not use methanol. The risk for us is not worse than the benefit for carbon dosing. Methanol out. Simple message. Don't use methanol.
Couple
Yeah,
of questions
go ahead.
here, Dan. Just sorry, Jamie. A couple of questions that are just being thrown up. Baby Dave saying, I put a comment up earlier. What's Dong's thoughts in regards to pathogens which carbon dosing could contribute to?
I will come to that.
Oh,
Be patient. Yes. Yep.
Yeah,
Good
detention.
question. Good question.
Detention, yeah.
Okay, let's move on. Okay. Now, formate. 1 carbon, 2 oxygen. That is a carbon dosing.
Okay.
That look familiar, right?
Mhm.
If you put a calcium next to it, you got calcium formate. Okay.
Right.
Now,
Okay.
next slide. Let me tell you why. Okay, who is eating formate? Think about it. When you're methanol, there's a bunch of bacteria chewing on it. And those bacteria are quite common in the water column. And many of them are pretty okay. They're hanging around, relaxed, not going to do anything bad. But now look at what the formate, what bacteria eat the formate.
Yeah.
First, the first bacteria, do you have a hydro vent of deep sea in your freaking reef tank? No, you don't. So you don't have that bacteria. So if you have a hydro vent, hot water coming out, wait, if your heater malfunction, that's what it is. So first, you don't get that, the first bacteria. Second thing, thermococci. Oh, go flock yourself. You don't have that. What's left in your reef tank
Yeah.
is known. Well, the sulfate reducing bacteria is underneath your deep sand bed. Forget it. What is flying in the column, your water column? Yes, that Vibrio bacteria. That thing is exclusively, actively, lovingly consuming formate. For matter of fact, Vibrio bacteria utilize formate exclusively and heavily is well flocking study. That means that when you're putting this formate in your water, which bacteria you are growing?
If anyone's just tuned in, they're going to think he's swearing.
Your Vibrio is a primary bacteria responsible to making your alkalinity for you. At the same time, you grow. The good thing is that not all the Vibrio bacteria is bad. The best thing is that if you have any strands of pathogenic bad Vibrio, which is very easy to get into, especially you're feeding commercial frozen food or some unsanitized seafood in your tank, you get bad pathogenic bad Vibrio bacteria. Also, bad Vibrio bacteria is mostly populated in every fish that got. They pee and poop, pathogenic Vibrio bacteria go into your water column. So to get the formate as a carbon dosing, either to reduce your nitrogen or phosphor, or to produce alkalinity for you, you are basically heavily relying on Vibrio bacteria, as well as growing the pathogenic one, as well as the non-pathogenic one. So that means that if somebody tell me to put formate into my tank, I will tell him to go fish farming or shrimp farming for themselves. That is one of the major reasons I will never put this powder into my reef tank. And that is the major reason there's so many, because I have many customers, different tank size, different dosing regimen. I have seen enough. I've said enough of this problem in this hobby. And all these problems all been resolved by switching to 2-part dosing or 3-part dosing. Get away from this white powder and being promoted into some kind of magical powder.
You're talking
That's
about
my
All for reef again.
Something. Yeah, whatever that is, right? Just say calcium formate. That is the problem. That is a major problem. And also, if you do not believe me, go do the aquabiomic test to see what's the bacterial population in your water when you're dosing calcium formate for a long period of time. But there's a remedy for it. If you're doing regularly water change, you can get away with it by dosing calcium formate. If you're dosing calcium formate but not doing much water change, you're asking for trouble. That is why most of the issue I've seen are from large reef tank, which large water change are not that feasible. But also dosing calcium formate. Then bacterial infection for the coral, brown jelly disease, STN, RTN, all that. And they all resolve by switching to 2-part dosing to get away from this chemical. I think I went enough. So let's go to the next slide.
And breathe.
Can I just ask one thing? As a sort of show of hands for all the guys in the comments and stuff, how common is carbon dosing? Who does it? And do any of you guys do it? I don't. I don't do any of this.
Well, I'm doing it because I use the Modern Reef, the RKS.
Modern Reef does that, yeah.
I've experienced quite a few ups and downs of it, but a lot of that is based on husbandry, temperature. I suppose, a lot of it is to do with how I run my tank slightly warmer. And when I run my tank slightly warmer, and I don't, I know, I do listen to you. I do listen to you, what you say on these podcasts. I run my tank slightly warmer, not intentionally, it just does because of, not to, everybody knows, lighting and pelmet and ventilation. So it kind of runs a little bit warmer. And if I don't do the water changes and I don't dose the bacteria, the Modern Reef bacteria that you're meant to put in on a weekly basis, I do have issues.
Is that the polypop or the complete reef food?
No, either. None of the food. I'm talking about the biobac that you put in.
Oh, the biobac. Yeah.
Biobac, because that's you basically you're in essence you're diluting it by having a water change, and you're putting these guys in to outcompete and do whatever they do. But because I'm running the tank a little bit warmer and not doing the water changes as often as I should, I am kind of going back to what Dong's saying, creating I suppose, from my experience, a bit of a feeding, whatever you want to call it, frenzy for as many bad guys as good guys, and you will see signs of that. And I've seen it. I have genuinely seen that. And the more I've listened to Dong over the last sort of 6 months or so, the more I can now think about issues I've had with my SPS tank in the past. And I thought it might have been pollen, or I thought it might have been something else. And I don't. I genuinely think it was this, because it makes so much sense. Because when I've done ICP, I'm not bragging, really decent ICP results, over 90% come back, everything apart from a few minor trace elements, everything's on point. I've always wondered, well, what is it? And obviously in the UK, we don't have the microbiome. So you've got to listen to people like Dong and have these conversations to sort of think, well, it could be that. Yeah, but ultimately you're eliminating what it might be, aren't you? When you've got an issue, you're eliminating it. And if you don't know what it is, you've got to go out. Well, so that's why a lot of people will always go, well, I've done a water change and I've done an ICP and I've tested my water, so it's none of that. So what else could it be? But I also think
it's the stuff you can't see, isn't it?
Stuff you can't see. And I also think that's why a lot of people talk about water changes as being a benefit, not just because for your trace elements, but also for the bad guys in terms of your bacteria and your pollutants as well, to stabilize the environment, because that's equally as important, which is something I've learned massively over the last, like I say, 6 months or so. But anyway, sorry to go off a tangent. Back to you.
Oh, that you hit all the right points. Yes, that's exactly the key point. So let's go to the next slide. Then this is just a paper showing you, then the core. Well, okay. Here's an interesting thing. Why I put that slide up? Because I was watching YouTube's, and somebody claimed that the formate, the coral can directly consume formate and generate alkalinity inside the coral, blah, blah, blah. Oh my God, that is absolutely go fish farming. Sorry, that's absolutely not true. Okay, so let's go next slide. Now we talk about 2-carbon ethanol. We are beloved vodka, like Grey Goose. That's a very nice one, and also the Casco. I think the Casco vodka is Grey Goose, and we can buy a big 2-liter jug and for cheap. So ethanol is 2-carbon, 1 oxygen. Now we are coming from 1-carbon dosing. Now we go to the 2-carbon dosing. Now, actually, vodka is pretty good. It tastes good. But I'm allergic to alcohol.
No, I knew that was vodka.
Too
from
bad
day
for
one.
me. Too bad for me. Okay.
In a water bottle, done. Typical alcoholic disguising it in a water bottle.
So let's go to the next slide because I'm allergic to alcohol. And its cousin, our beloved sweet and sour chicken ingredient, vinegar. Also 2-carbon. There's a 2-carbon vodka and vinegar, both 2-carbon dosing reagent. Okay, actually, this is probably is the most welcoming carbon source for carbon dosing because it accounted for 50% of the total bacterial carbon production over there. So let's go to the next slide. And you can see that it hits a huge amount of bacteria. Many bacteria are pretty good, pretty okay. At least it's not Vibrio. Vibrio is not in here. So we can see a huge amount. The slide is so crowded. That means that your Grey Goose, as well as your sweet and sour chicken ingredient, hits a big variety of bacteria, and many of these bacteria is not going to cause you trouble. Which means ethanol, the Grey Goose, vodka, and sweet and sour chicken ingredient are pretty good for carbon dosing. It's safe, effective, and nice. It tastes good. So that is why, remember the Red Sea no packs? Red Sea no packs basically is
Really
a
good.
mixture of vinegar and ethanol. So the no packs containing 25% of ethanol, 4% vinegar, and 2% of methanol. It's very diluted. So we know that methanol also is pretty good. It's just quite hazardous, right? But if you incorporate a little bit of methanol there, yeah, it helps a little bit. That is why, because a no-pox is a very diluted product, that's why even it contains some 2% methanol, it's not hazardous. It's all about the concentration. So that is why here I give you a recipe about making your own no-pox. Well, Red Sea no-pox is a very good product, but you can make it at home.
Was.
Now, here's a recipe. I'm not going to put it on the screen, but to read it to you, if you miss it, it's fine. 500 milliliter of white vinegar, 375 milliliter of 80 proof vodka. It doesn't need to be Grey Goose, just any unflavored vodka, plus 125 milliliter of distilled water. If you feel like it,
vodka was that, Don?
vodka is 375, vinegar 500, distilled water 125.
Right.
You mix them together.
Cocktail
And then this is your do-it-yourself no packs.
Wow, there you go.
Yes,
the 2%
methanol is not necessary to be there. If you happen to have a methanol, I don't know where you get it, but you can add a little bit of methanol there. But normally it doesn't. It's the juice not worth squeezing for the methanol.
Oh,
it's going to be effective without that. Sorry, Jamie, is that what you're saying? Being effective without the methanol?
Yeah, it's effective without it. You don't need the methanol. Just vinegar, vodka, and water.
Is methylated spirits like paint cleaner, is that the same as methanol?
Which one?
Methylated
Ooh.
spirit. You know what you use to clean your paintbrushes, oil-based paints and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
some of them are, but they're mixed with other oil for oil painting. The pen brush cleaner. Don't use that. No. If you want to use methanol, you got to get the pure methanol, and then when you turn around, and then methanol will catch on fire.
I could just see Steph going around Leeds tonight asking people. Yeah, let's not go there.
Okay. So the vodka and vinegar are pretty good.
Wow.
Yeah, use it.
There's a-
Yeah.
there's a
Okay, next
DIY.
slide.
Brilliant.
Yeah, DIY.
That's a good little thing, that,
yes.
Dom.
All right. Now, for some bizarre reason, there is no research talk about 3 carbon of like the isopropanol for carbon dosing, because people just not using it. Probably it's not worth the researching it, or maybe has some other side effect. So now, when we talk about liquid dosing, we talk about 1 carbon and 2 carbon, and that's it. And now we talk about biopellet. So I think many of you may watch some YouTube videos saying that some biopellet producer are using cornstarch. Unfortunately, that's absolutely bullshit. That is bullshit to the outer limit, outer space, because every single biopellet for aquarium use, all these biopellet are produced properly by bacteria. All the biopellets on the market, none of them are starch or potato powder. They all produced by bacteria. They're called the PHA. They're all good stuff. They're not starch or whatever. So let's get this debunk this myth. All the biopellet we can buy are all properly produced, actually by bacteria. And bacteria make this biopellet as a bioplastic, and then they collect it and then utilize as a biopellet for carbon dosing.
What do we commonly see in
Yeah.
in the UK? 'Cause I don't think I've seen these before. Have you?
Go on. What is it? ASF, ALF, even
ALA?
ALF. They do.
Hugo
they do.
Kamishi.
Yeah, they do one. It's exactly the same. Biopellets.
I don't think I've
The only
seen them
thing that's-
before.
The only thing that's ever put me off these biopellets is the slime that they produce on the
Yeah.
outside of the reactors. It's horrendous.
Yes, because that's what the bacteria growing on the pellet.
Right.
So
Yeah.
let's go to the next slide.
Sorry, Don, can I just ask one question on that?
Okay, yeah, go ahead.
With those biopellets there, which are carbon-based, obviously you can get these sulfur-based pellets as well that are supposed to help reduce nitrates and stuff. Is that a different chemical pathway, or is it a similar thing?
I think that basically a biopellet is a polymer. So so you can see that there's 4 carbon, 5 carbon chain, and they all link together. And the thing about it, the bacteria just thing about this biopellet, the bacteria just yum, just take one off, and then the other off, keep cutting the chain and use as the food source. That's how the biopellet works. So, and of course, you can make produce a sulfur containing polymers as biopellets. So this is all can be done. For matter of fact, all these biopellets are made by bacteria, and then turn around get consumed by bacteria. It's all natural. If you want to go the biopellet route to reduce your nitrogen and phosphate, all the biopellet on the market are equally good. But of course, the biopellet has their drawback. It's hard to control sometimes because that it's affected by the tumbling speed, the water, the reactors of water flow speed, so many things. Plus, what Tom said, slimy and satisfying. No, that we are not talking about Lion King. So, yeah. So basically, biopellet are the 4 carbon and 5 carbon dosing. Now we cover 1 carbon, 2 carbon, 3 carbon. For some reason, nobody research it, and biopellet is the 4 carbon and 5 carbon dosing. Wait a minute, my finger. Sorry. 1, 2, 4, 5.
Just in your opinion, is this effective though? Is this
effective, but it can be too effective and kill off your coral.
As in, it can be right. So, is it fair to say that this can be a little bit like putting too much rower phos in one go, and it can just literally strip out?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Thought so.
So, if you want to go biopellet, do it small amount.
Yeah.
And make sure the freaking thing is keep tumbling inside the reactor. So that's very important. So that means all this biopellet was tumbling in the reactor, and then all the surface of the thing is all exposed to bacteria, so the bacteria can feed on it and grow on it. Yeah,
I've tried them a couple of times, and I just really didn't like the state that reactor was in. It just looked like something out of Ghostbusters. Like it was just wrong.
So this is much easier, cleaner, right? The vinegar and the vodka. And another benefit for using vodka is that when you're carbon dosing your reef tank, you can carbon dose yourself at the same time.
Oh,
yeah.
perfect.
And both you and your reef tank are happy.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you could even put yourself on a dosing pump then? Is that what you're saying?
That involves a needle. That's too scary.
Intravenous.
But in that case, I will recommend sugar. Because in the hospital, right? You can do IV sugar.
Doesn't have the same
IV
effect.
full of Grey Goose is kind of dangerous.
Yeah.
So let's go to the next slide, please.
Here you go.
Okay. So how biopellet is made is basically produced by bacteria. So it's produced by bacteria, consumed by bacteria, and no potato being harmed during the process. It's not cornstarch or not potato starch. It's not your potato chips. It's all properly produced. For every company that selling biopellet, all the biopellets are properly produced and properly, none of them contain cornstarch or potato chips. So they should thank me to debunk this. Otherwise, the people say, the cornstarch. No. All the brands of biopellets, yes, properly make without harming potato or corn.
Yeah, no potatoes were harmed in this process.
I've just noticed a comment that Corey said here that it must tumble at all times, otherwise one.
Yes.
Which I think.
Yep. Tumbling is the key. Okay. Now
stagnant. Yeah.
AI for this hobby is a piece of crap.
Yeah.
Wow.
ChatGPT is quite good.
Saying something negatively because that you cannot find any scientific evidence to support something. That's what AI said. About why the provided scientific literature confirmed that some carbon source can selectively promote the growth of different bacterial community. Vibrio biformate. That's where it comes from. This idea. That's what AI get this. Yeah, that's a well study. If you dose formic acid, you promote Vibrio. So, and then there's lack of scientific consensus from the research results on so-called long-chain carbon can selectively promote beneficial bacteria, especially in aquarium reefkeeping context. No, there is no scientific evidence ever show this ever exists besides advertisement. Yes, but I am ready to be proven wrong. Show me the data. Just like show me the money. Show me the data. I change my mind. Show the AI data. Change the AI's mind. You are not selling bullshit to our fellow reefers. I'm all open to your scientific data. Yeah. For example, if you have a proprietary product, you can always use the scientific data to support what you can do and what you cannot do without disclosing what's in this product. So by disclosing the scientific research to support your claim, actually benefit the promotion of your product. If a company cannot support their claim using scientific data, that's classified as snake oil.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, enough of that. So I have to get this thing out because there's so many misinformation talking about the magical seaweed-based whatever carbon dosing. So let's clarify that. Next slide. Okay, now comes to the key factor for the carbon dosing. You have to talk about a phosphate limitation. First of all, if you have phosphate at 0.01, 0.02, or less than 0.1, don't do carbon dosing because that your nitrate will not get reduced. You have remember the so-called flocking refuel ratio, right? So 100 carbon, 16 nitrogen, 1 phosphor. If you have 0 phosphor is too low, your nitrogen is not getting yanked out of the water. At the same time, if your nitrogen level, you got 0 nitrate, don't do carbon dosing, as there's no freaking way to reduce your phosphate. When the carbon, nitrogen, and phosphor, all three has to be in there in a sufficient quantity in order to let carbon dosing work. If you one thing hit 0 or ultra low, carbon dosing will not work. Third thing, oxygenation. How biopellet kills your tank? Many occasions I saw from the past 20 years is overdosing too much biopellet, it causing a bacterial boom, oxygen level drop, depletion, and then all your fish are choked to death and coral choked to death. So make sure you have your protein skimmer. So here's the thing. If you are doing carbon dosing, you better have a protein skimmer. The protein skimmer, the more important thing what the protein skimmer does in the grand scheme of carbon dosing is to trying to enrich your oxygen level in your tank, as well as taking some of the excess bacteria out of your water column. But the oxygenation is much more important in terms of carbon dosing from your skimmer. Your skimmer's major benefit is enriching your water oxygen level. Also, another key component to enrich oxygen level is your surface area. That's why when you're in a frac tank, you have a huge surface area versus the total volume of the system, and then you have more oxygen exchange happening on the surface. Then your carbon dosing will have less chance to go wrong, to choke up your fish by consuming too much oxygen. Now we talk about bacterial strains. That is probably something that we need to worry about, but most likely we cannot do much about it without the aquabiomic testing. So in this case, just think about it. If you cannot analyze what bacterial strains happen in your water, try not to promote this guy, the Vibrio bacterial, by using the food that can promote them to grow. Okay. And now, keep in mind that all carbon dosing will increase your alkalinity. But the regular carbon dosing can only affect the alkalinity by a small amount because the amount of carbon we put in the tank is small. So just keep in mind, all the carbon dosing will produce carbon dioxide and will increase your alkalinity by a little bit. And your skimmer efficiency is very important. So that's another reason. If you want to do carbon dosing, you should get a good skimmer. Seriously, get a good skimmer. Then that will actually give you more guarantee for success and less chance to fail.
So if you're going to carbon dose, if you're going to carbon dose, would you say it's essential to water change?
Water change, actually, water change for carbon dosing, yes, it is important because that water, if you change 10% water, you are removing 10% of bacteria that's floating in the water column.
Yeah.
Yep. That's for sure. And then another thing is what happens if you don't have a skimmer for your nano tank? And you also want to do carbon dosing. Then use water change as the export mechanism.
Yeah.
As well as there's another key is that when you're doing carbon dosing, look at your temperature. Maybe if your temperature already at like 80 something degree or 79 Fahrenheit, something like that, you will have two risks. One risking factor is that Vibrio turn pathogenic. Good guy turn bad around 80 degree Fahrenheit or 26 degrees Celsius or something like that. Yeah.
26.6.
So keeping the temperature low, right, like 74, 75 degrees Celsius where you're doing carbon dosing, also has a one benefit is that when temperature is lower, your oxygen level is higher.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So the last point is that consider water change as the function as a way to remove your nitrogen and phosphorus instead of carbon dosing. So let's say if you want to drop 20% of your nitrogen and phosphorus in your tank, you do a 20% water change. You guarantee you remove 20%, right? And when you calculate it to the extreme, and you dose that carbon source in your tank, you may not achieve even 20% of reduction. Or sometimes you achieve too much. It all depends on what's bacteria living in your tank, how the population of this bacteria is. So many factors just in the play for carbon dosing. If you can do large water change, do large water change. If you have a large reef tank and large water change not feasible, carbon dosing actually is a very productive way to reduce your nitrogen and phosphate.
I've got one question as well, Don. So,
yeah,
all we've talked about on this so far is us artificially adding carbon sources. What about the buzzword at the minute that's sort of what everyone's talking about, dissolved organic carbon, like the carbon that builds up in our aquariums?
Okay.
Does that contribute to this?
Dissolved organic carbon, including all sorts of different molecules. Many of them is not able to be consumed by bacteria or removed. So the effective carbon source that can achieve our goal that been studied are listed in this slide. So that's the simple organic molecule. So some of the dissolved organic content has a very complex organic molecule that cannot be used as a carbon source that get eaten by the bacteria. Okay. So the DOC, right, dissolved organic content or dissolved organic carbon, including all sort of things, including some gigantic molecule that nobody touch, including some molecule is very harmful, including molecule excreted by coral like Gonipora as Gonipora toxin to suppress other coral. All sorts of things, all lumped together is DOC.
Okay.
I've got a button I need to press to Don for this slide. Thanks very much.
We're open for questions.
Yes, that's what I was about.
It feels a bit frustrating, doesn't it? Because a lot of it we're just shooting in the dark because we don't know what's in the. We can only do so much even now with ICP tests, and I think we spoke about last time Osiamo doing the organic testing.
Yeah, organic test.
But that's about as far as we've gone with it, and it's all like it feels a bit frustrating.
So actually, the Oceamo ICP test, all the tests you mentioned, none of them actually can tell you the bacterial. No, none of them. So that's why we use this. Since we don't know, we use the weapon that can create that hit the most relevant bacteria, because that's the reason why people choose the ethanol and vinegar, because it hits a huge group of bacteria.
One of the things that I think I'm going to use and repurpose for us after this is your DIY, if you like, NoPox.
NoPox,
the recipe. I think what would be really good, Dong, is if you give some guidance on adding that to the aquarium. So how much of that solution? Yeah, so actually that's quite important.
the guidance you can find on the reef. Actually, just do a Google search, and it has very detailed table that people already done it. The do it yourself no packs. What's your tank volume and how much you should do? You should dose at week 1, week 2, week 3. It has been fully written out.
So
that's very simple.
I've seen that for like vodka dosing, but would that still apply for this then? The same.
You can apply it for this. Actually, I do see the no packs dosing table. And there's a table for a vodka dosing, there's a table for vinegar, there's a table for no packs. All of them are all out there. And also another thing is that if you just dose vinegar, you probably can achieve like 85 to 90% of effect as a no packs. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because and also that's the least expensive way to do. Yes, the vinegar.
Yep.
Yep. And the amount you dose in your tank is so small. And also the vinegar is only about 5% of vinegar in water. So the impact on pH is very small because the amount you dose is actually very tiny compared to your total volume. And your salt water is gigantic buffer. It will absorb this acid quickly. The acidity won't impact too much. So if you have a very tiny tank, like pickle tank, then vinegar may not be the best choice because the volume is much smaller. Then choose alcohol, vodka, because vodka is neutral. Vodka has no impact on pH whatsoever. It's just a little bit more expensive. And make sure you choose one that has no flavor in it. A cherry flavor. Want to taste?
What, because of the sugars by any chance?
Huh? Pardon?
Because of sugars? Why
yeah,
flavored?
you can dose sugar, but you just need to be very careful. Yeah, because sugar hits so many things. And sometimes that most people see are the booming of bacterial boom after you dose sugar because it's overdosing easily.
Do you think there's anything else that we put in the reef tank then that affects it from a sugar point of view, in terms of foods, maybe?
For carbon dosing?
Yeah.
So I think you can put molasses in there. That's for sure, because molasses has one added benefit is that it has some trace metal and trace element, vitamin, those which benefit to the reef tank.
But are the foods on the market that people would be using without knowing that could be, as a byproduct, being harmful?
I will limit it to just stick to the ethanol and vinegar because it's well studied. Yeah. Just because this is so inexpensive, so cheap. There's no reason to find a substitute for something so readily available and so inexpensive and so well studied. So that there is no reason to reinvent the wheel because you have a very inexpensive and readily available thing here.
I think my take
rebrand the wheel
has been like, well, I'm not surprised really. So I always thought carbon dosing thing no matter what you used. So really, you've opened my mind up that I shouldn't be surprised that different sources of carbon affect different sources of bacteria.
Yes.
Also, shouldn't be surprised that with the complexity of the biome in these glass boxes, that adding a little bit of carbon doesn't just do one thing; it does loads of things. There's a knock-on to everything you do, isn't there?
Yes.
So I think the message is just go careful with it. Very, very careful.
Yeah, careful. If you can do water change, do water change.
But like Don just said, you will make your life easier in the long run by doing the water changes. I've noticed so much of a difference by not doing water changes as often as I was on the DT, which is on Modern Reef downstairs. I was religiously doing them weekly, as I said earlier, doing the bioback stuff and the whole concoction with the snow and everything else when I was doing maintenance, and the tank never looked its best. Since I've started to put my focus on the garage with the coral farm going off in there, and I've not done the DT as often, I have seen a significant, decline.
Yeah.
All right. Rub it in. All right. Decline. Yeah, thanks.
So yeah, there is one important thing is I will really from the series of the study research result from carbon dosing, I will seriously suggest people not to use the reagent that create carbon dioxide inside your tank, regardless the reagent is causing Vibrio bacterial or not, because it's not a very good thing. The reason for that is that I will save it for the next episode.
Ooh.
Yeah, talk about how dissolved carbon dioxide affects coral. Also, we can beat the dead horses called
That's a big
pH.
one.
Yeah. And there's so many research publication has showing up, especially one of the paper that show up on November 2025. We save it for the next.
Save it for the next lesson. Right, okay.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
Let's just go through the comments, see if anybody's got anything
Yep.
they want to ask and share. So back to Baby Dave, he's saying, so understandably from my question earlier, carbon dosing can contribute to pathogens and creating higher DOC. Is that right?
Carbon dosing depends on what you use. Can contribute to pathogenic bacteria, which means that if you already have that strains of bacteria, good or bad, when you dose a carbon source, most likely that you'll increase both good or bad.
Because
So-
you're creating a food source in essence.
Yeah. And unfortunately, formic acid just so particularly favored by Vibrio. That is highly unusual. Other besides formate, like methanol, vodka, vinegar, they all favored by many, many different types of bacteria. It just happened to be that formate is favored by the Vibrio. And Vibrio actually is the pathogenic version of it, actually causing the majority of the bacterial infection and disease in our reef tank. Yeah.
See, the skeptic in me would wonder why they, if this is known and it's published research, why they would pursue that recipe, that blend.
Calcium formate has been known for like 20 something years. There's no patent for it. Any
No.
company can market it, but many companies just choose not to do so by knowing what the consequence you can produce. That is why Polyp Lab, a Canadian company, they use calcium acetate instead of the formate. Polyp Labs, the one component calcium alkalinity solution is calcium acetate. Basically, it's calcium plus vinegar. And vinegar does not have the drawback of formate.
Formate. Right. Okay.
Yeah. But unfortunately, calcium acetate, the solubility is not as good as calcium formate. That
So it
means
means
that when you dose it, you have
you
to
use
make a
it-
bigger,
You have to use a lot more. A
lot more volume.
Yeah.
But seriously thinking, what's wrong with two-part dosing? You have one dosing pump versus two dosing pump. And by the way, when you buy a freaking dosing pump from the market, it comes with 4 heads. And the thing is, what I don't understand the point. And also I look at the single dosing head versus a 4-head dosing pump. The price difference is so small. So most of the dosing pump come with 4 heads. So instead of letting 3 head idling, not doing anything, versus 2 head idling, not doing anything, is that a big deal? I do not understand why people make it a big deal if I'm using 2 head versus 1 head.
What about 4 part?
So far, absolutely.
What
Huh?
about 4 part? What about 4 part?
Oh, you mean the boiling method?
Not something like modern reef.
Modern reef or
Modern
there's
reef.
plenty of them.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
But the thing is, you had a freaking dosing pump. Dosing pumps are cheap. You buy them with 4 head, 6 head, 5 head. Use it, right? It doesn't cost you more by using 2 head versus 1 head.
I think the dosing
What-
pump's cheaper than the modern reef.
It's better
And
price
also
now,
the-
Jamie.
The baking soda is dirt cheap. Sodium the soda ash is dirt cheap. is so cheap. For example, I go to Costco, I will spend about $8 to give me a big sack of baking soda. And calcium chloride you can buy from Amazon, so cheap. And if you're dosing a two-part dosing, use 2 dosing head with 2 cheapo products. What's the point? What is the problem that you have to go to a single part dosing? What exactly, people? I cannot understand that. Seriously. What's the advantage for one component versus a 2 component?
I think I'll tell you my opinion on that, or my answer for that is marketing. It's how people, how it's advertised, how it's marketing, how people absorb that, and also the simplicity. I think for people, all in one bottle or all in one tub.
Yeah, maybe
people will probably lean towards that to think everything's in there that I need. All the goodness that I need for my reef tank is in that one.
Actually, in that case, why don't you just add vinegar into your Kalkwasser?
Well, question about Kalkwasser. Intrinsic Reef saying, I dump 10 ml of Bacto Balance into a week's worth of saturated Kalkwasser just so it can be on one dosing pump and there is limited chance of overdosing the carbon source.
1 week worth of saturated Kalkwasser.
10 ml of Bacto Balance.
As long as that the Bacto Balance is sort of, no, you should be fine. But let me check what exactly is Bacto Balance. So anybody,
it's go on, help me out. Brightwell, is it?
It's
Brightwell products.
It's been.
Oh no, that's Tropic Marin.
Tropic Marin.
What's inside? But back to
Oh no, we're thinking of the microbacteria. That's the one that I've been seeing all week.
That's is that MP Bacto? Yeah, Tropic Marin Bacto Balance. I do not know what's inside. Seriously, is that anybody knows what's inside? What's inside of Bacto Balance?
I haven't got a clue. Anybody in the comments want to give us an opinion? Corey's still with us as well. Corey's saying just to name a few things that you would dose. Is carbon dosing, iron, zinc, gluconate, citric acid.
Oh yeah. Yes, those are all carbon dosing. Yeah, because those all can be utilized by the bacteria.
Yes. Well, if you think about it, I think Yazan's we've said it in the chat earlier, but they're absolutely right. Everything organic we put in our tank, every flake, every pellet, every frozen food, it's all carbon based. Everything's carbon based. It's just quantity, isn't it?
I think theoretically yes, if the food can be utilized by bacteria, that actually is considered the carbon dosing. But here's the thing: why do we use like vinegar and vodka? Because it's controllable.
Yeah, you're right. You know the dose.
Yeah, it's all about controllable. For example, if I dump in a mystery jar of food, I don't know what's inside. I don't know the quantity. So if you're dosing 5 ml of vinegar, you know how much vinegar actually get into your tank, so that you can modulate it. Yeah.
Based on the concentration, you can then
based on the concentration. Yeah, easy and simple. So this the just back to my earlier point is that when something easy and simple, readily available, why buy something that is more expensive and unknown? But now the marketing, I can see the point. So that is the reason why the marketer have to say that our carbon dosing are special.
Yeah,
our carbon dosing can select. Can only promote good bacterial growth, but not the bad bacterial. But if that is true, show me the data. I don't want to know what's in that bottle. I just want to know your research data. If that research data ever available.
You represent 5% of people that are going to want to know that, though. Unfortunately,
Well,
the other 95% that are gullible enough to just buy it because somebody's telling
because
them
they
that
say
that's all
so,
they need,
right?
then that's what they're going to do. And I'm sure,
So
the three of us have all fall foul of that at some point.
that is the reason we're going to talk about this thing here. So people does not spend their money on something that doesn't have any scientific data to prove their product actually works. Yeah. So that is why that I think that well, the Niles dip, the most thing appreciated is that the ingredient. It works and it tells you what's in the bottle. That is what it's supposed to do. That is what all this mystery or this manufacturer should do, is what's in the bottle. If they have they can disclose, or they have to disclose it, and what you can do. If they cannot disclose the ingredient, at least show us the data, seeing that your product actually can select good bacterial versus bad bacterial.
A bit like Vibrant, yeah?
Yeah, oh yeah, exactly. Just like Vibrant. So basically the thing is that, yeah, you show me the data, I change my mind after I see the data. Otherwise, that I will stick with something cheap, inexpensive, effective, well-used, well-studied thing from the supermarket.
Yeah. Okay, so we've gone over a lot of what it does and when not to use it and the risks and stuff. When would you recommend people start carbon dosing? Give it a go.
Okay.
What circumstances?
So first of all, if you're actually dosing any phosphate or nitrate, carbon dosing is not your the way to go, because you're
taking out what you're putting in.
Exactly. So second thing is that if your nitrate is like 30-40 ppm, as well as you have sufficient phosphate like 0.1, 0.2 ppm of phosphate, then you can consider carbon dosing. And keep in mind that if you have very high nitrate, very low phosphate, a detectable phosphate, and you do carbon dosing, it can potentially push your phosphate to the bottom. And we all know from the scientific research, phosphate actually is critical for coral. It cannot be zero.
Yep.
So right now, that even you keep them at 0.1 ppm, that's pretty okay. Yeah, you need phosphate. Hi, evening.
Mick.
Yeah. They put some NO3PO4 in the end bacterial so it doesn't bottom out. I don't see how it can work. Your reagent for carbon dosing is to eliminate nitrogen and phosphate.
You're adamant.
You add it in your bottle? I don't know. This blew my mind. Oh my god. Most company does not show the ingredients. Well, of course, that if they don't want to get copied, that's perfectly fine. You do not have to disclose what's in your bottle, but show us some research saying that this bottle can do this and this and this. Simple as that.
Yazan's saying, "I swear it's true," regarding that point. Putting N3PO4 into there so it doesn't bottom out.
Which product was that? I've got.
Oh, that's
Back to balance.
MP
So you keep buying more of it.
Yeah.
I'm still getting phosphate and nitrate. I need more.
But I have to say something is that Tropic Marin is a good company, and you produce a very good salt. So they have a good product, but it doesn't mean a company doesn't put out bullshit. And this kind of practice only harm the reputation for a good company that have a long-standing good reputation.
Do you think that's just from a revenue perspective? It's an opportunity to cash in on something else, a product that isn't necessary or isn't.
I think possible. That's possible, but that is really not the way to go for a reputable brand. A brand that is so good.
Alpha Reef has been marketed, and I know I've seen people with some great tanks, by the way, that have run it.
I think they generate a lot of money for the Alpha Reef.
But it's been so marketed on simplicity. All you will ever need is this. you know, you've got a mixed reef, you just do that, you've got a busy 9 to 5 job, and you don't have time to test your water and a little bit. And to be fair, they saw you know, a market in its sense, in terms of people that had those, you know, I suppose those scenarios, or you know, that needed something simple, and it sold. It sold tenfold.
I did use it, and I mean, I wasn't keeping any difficult corals at the time when I first started, but I used it in one of those Fluval Evo tanks.
Yeah,
because it was a nano, and it everything was good, but realistically,
changed a lot
in
of
a
water.
tank that size, exactly. That's the thing. In a tank that size, a 10% water change would have been sufficient. I know that now.
Simple.
I know that now, but
yeah.
just so you know, the product is true. It incorporates both NO3, PO4, inorganic and organic. So it's true. It does have it in it, which kind of doesn't make sense, does it? Because you're trying to
It doesn't
eliminate
make any sense.
Well done,
Yeah,
Yazan.
it doesn't make sense.
10
Yeah.
points for you.
10 points.
I think the thing we sort of we forget sometimes is that the 4 of us and the 60 odd people that are watching a reefing channel on a Friday night are in that top demographic that are comfortable mixing up their own dosing solutions, mixing up their own carbon sources. The 80% of the 80% of the reefing community just go to an LFS on a Sunday and buy a bottle of stuff to do a job for them and trust the product. So I think that's where its place is. It's probably not for the higher end reefers, dare I say, with my nose up in the air. But it's probably not for reefers like us that are quite far down the line and know what we're sort of doing.
Yeah.
So they've got a place, 100%. And everyone, all of us have probably used that stuff when we started out. And that's how you get onto understanding, isn't it? So it's got a place.
Yeah, that's why that for the problem I saw from my customers, many of them actually have large reef tank that have difficulty to change huge amount of water. Then that's where the problem comes for the calcium formate. So and also that keep in mind that many of the hobbyists in this hobby doesn't stay in the hobby for a very long time. That's one thing. And they bought the bottle and they use it, and because this is a cumulative effect. It's not like if you drop something in and all the coral just no, it's slow accumulation, right?
Yeah.
So many of them doesn't stay long enough to see the effect. So many products are actually aimed for customer that only stay in the hobby for months or maybe a year, and before anything that any accumulative effect show up. Yeah, and also the thing is that I think that NoPox is a good product because it provides a very easy access to local fish store customers. Just buy this, add this, well study, you know how much to add, and then solve some of your nitrogen phosphate issue. Yeah, that's a product, but that is a quite different product than other product that has false claim like Vibrant, right? Vibrant is belong to false advertisement, is a scam. NoPox is a little bit more expensive, but it's a real thing. It does the real job and with scientific background on it. So that's totally different.
You get a dose rate and you get the peace of mind that it's not going to kill everything, and it's peace of mind for people, isn't it?
Yeah. So for example, like the ESV Bionic. So if you don't want to mix up your own solution, go buy it. A little bit more expensive, but it's convenient.
I think, exactly. It's cook at home or take away.
Yeah,
convenience.
Absolutely.
Everything is convenience. You can pay someone to come and paint your walls, or you can do it yourself.
Yes.
Yeah.
What else we've got in here? A couple of comments throwing up here. Good evening, PS. Oh, it's PS. CK5KV. Reef works, but you need to test and add magnesium.
That is a different story because Reef does not contain magnesium, so you have to dose magnesium separately. The same thing happened to two-part dosing. So we all need to monitor our magnesium, look at the magnesium and dose it. So therefore, all the dosing. So the Reef is replacing the calcium and alkalinity part. So for average, for many of the reefers, it will work. It will work because that many people keeping like a 10 gallon, 20 gallon, 30 gallon tank. They do their water change, and more importantly, many people keeping the coral are very robust and is not that sensitive.
Right,
So if you talk about leather coral, they don't care about your rebuild.
Because that leads me on to what Corey's saying. Corey's saying, but it's one of the most used products of the industry for the last few years. You don't see tanks crashing left or right because it actually works.
Well, the thing is, it depends on how you look. I do see here people having problems, mostly for large reef tank running, have limited amount of water change and running for a long time, and heavy dosing. Reef tank, for example, if your reef tank is consuming only about, let's say, half DKH a day, then you put in all for reef, no problem, because it's all about the amount you dose. But for a reef tank that consuming 4 to 5 DKH a day, then you're looking for trouble.
But how much comes down to the actual reefer? Because like I'm dosing a 4-part modern reef, IICP regularly, and I've got elements up there that I have to add because of the consumption in my aquarium, and every aquarium is different. So depending on the animals you've got, so I have a manganese, to name a few, magnesium, iodine, the usual stuff. I have to add that in even whilst dosing a 4-part system, just from the ICP results. And I think there's a lot of responsibility on the reefers to actually do those tests. I mean, I only started ICP testing three years ago, and it's been something that's been on the market for years, and it really changed how I. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, because each reef tank are different.
Yeah.
So, for example, if you have a system that some reef tank will consume certain element faster.
Yeah.
For example, let alone about the trace element. Just look at the calcium and alkalinity. So calcium consumption, alkalinity consumption is not 1-to-1. Some tank has a much higher alkalinity consumption. Some tanks has close to 1-to-1 consumption. So each depends on what kind of organism you have, and depends on what kind of coral you have, your bacterial, your sponge, all that kind of thing. So each reef tanks are different. So all these methods will provide you a foundation. Then on top of this foundation, you add more. For example, you find out you need more magnesium.
So what I mean, Dong, is that there isn't any product on the market that's just going to be magical fix. So even like
there is no magic.
Reef,
no.
If you're responsible in achieving consistency, which is what is success in our hobby, you need to do those regular tests, and then you'll find your consumption. And then you can, you know, like I said, even with a 4-part system, which is, in my opinion, genuinely is one of the best things I've ever used, and I know reefers that say the same. I still have to add in other elements from the trace from the ICP results. You know,
you're right. If you look at it as a scale, say for example, your 4-part's probably one of the most wide coverage things you can do. But say for example, on a scale, you've got, like you say, tweaking it. Say you've got 100-part, you've got 100 dosing pumps, all dosing each element. You do your ICP and you tweak the pumps that you need to adjust. On the other end of the scale, you've got all for reef, which is just 1 part, one size fits all. And if something's low, you don't just top up with all for reef to get that one thing up, because it pushes everything up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And that's where people fall foul. Is they're chasing numbers with one product.
I also think it depends on what you want to achieve with your reef tank.
Yeah.
You know, do you put a reef tank that you just enjoy when you're coming from work, you feed the fish, you sit back, you enjoy it, you know, or are you on this pilgrimage, this addiction, whatever train, as I am and I've been for many years, that you want that perfection. But sometimes the answer for perfection is to make things simple, make things consistent.
Remove the barriers to enjoy it.
Yeah, so that is about exactly like Tom said, is that many of the things people are chasing are actually for extra 5 to 10%. So so actually, well, I see so many customers, many of them, they don't care about all this fancy name, Angry Bird, Walt Disney, what that kind of freaking thing. No, they just want to see a Gorgonian and some leather coral and some mushroom floating in their tank.
Yeah.
So for those coral, well, then that they can use off a reef perfectly fine. Yeah, it's simple, easy. So and also that I see customer with a 10 foot SPS, but they have a green slimer, they have the purple forest, and they have the spongotus, whatever that kind of thing. A nice easy SPS reef. They don't care about the maximum growth. They don't care about the so-called the maximum coloration. They just want to see a bunch of coral living together. In that case, that they can keep it simple. And some people have contract out the service, like the guy come in to change 30% of water every week. Yeah, you can put on a dosing, one single dosing pump with off a reef, perfectly fine.
But then I also think that that's when it becomes sort of like, is it good for your mental health, as in it relaxes you, or is it not good for your mental health because it stresses you out because you are looking for your Orange Passions and your Walt Disneys, and, you know, and all that, and you want your Angry Birds and you want all these fancy Instagrammable, you know, corals, you know, and I've fallen foul to that and still do because we're all suckers for a nice coral. But ultimately, you know, as I said earlier, with my SPS tank downstairs, it was looking its best when I was just doing a water change and I was keeping on top of it and I was testing it and it was best. But as soon as my time got dragged in a different direction, it slowly went downhill a little bit.
Yeah.
So I think that's another thing is you can only do you only have one pair of hands. There is only 24 hours in a day or whatever it is. Yeah. You can only do so much, you know. So your expectations versus realism sometimes. We always talk about time and money. You've got to have a bit of both in this hobby, I think, to get the right balance. But also, you know, you've also got to enjoy it. And I think if you just plowing loads of money in it or loads of time and you're not enjoying it, then you've got the balance probably a little bit wrong.
Exactly. I think that you got exactly the right point because this is a hobby. Since this is a hobby, if anything happens, for example, you have a newborn baby, or maybe you need to travel. In that case, that the hobby will give way for the other more important thing. You have less time to take care of it. So when you choose a method to maintain your tank, you have to think about the downtime, the difficult time, or the busy time. When that time comes, can you still manipulate 100 dosing head with 100 bottles?
If you go on holiday, keep it simple. If you go on a holiday, can somebody else take over?
Well,
what?
So had a baby and did so much traveling last year, and any spare time I got is either now baby or editing and catching up. So for me, it was really important to find a way that the hobby worked for me. I couldn't be here to quickly correct things. I wasn't always able to send ICPs, and I think that's kind of the thing, isn't it? If All for Reef was that product and it worked, then fine. If I'm happy, or if it's 4-part Modern Reef and it works, then I'm happy. I think the ultimate thing with this hobby is we just have to enjoy it because it can be so stressful. So stressful.
We're just constantly striving for perfection, aren't you? You're saying, I've got to do better, I must do better, I must do better. And sometimes...
But actually, there's no perfection can talk about, right?
Well, there's a comment here from John Wright, right? And I went to see John before Christmas. It was lovely to meet him again. I've not seen him since he came to the barbecue in August. And I went to see his tank. And you know, sometimes, because obviously I've got an aquapora dominated tank downstairs, and John's got a mixed reef tank. He won't mind me saying this, I'm sure. You know, as I say, old school, mushrooms, some leathers, some LPS. And it was on All for Reef, ironically. So I know that's what he does, because it works for him. But the colours were amazing. It just
because these coral are not sensitive to infection.
It reminded me. That tank reminded me of why I got in the hobby after my mum introduced me years and many years ago. When you walked into an LFS and they had the deep greens, the deep reds, and of certain mushrooms and leathers, and it looked insane. And it was on All for Reef, and he hardly did anything, you know.
Yeah, but also another important thing is that when you have a mushroom and leather dominant tank, your consumption is very low. I mean, so the amount of All for Reef is very small.
I had to tell him several times to put some clothes on, obviously. It is John Wright. But but no, sometimes because I'm constantly looking at SPS corals, and you're looking for the purples and the reds and these little things.
Like a reef tank is a composition. It's a composition of.
But when I saw it, it was just
like,
so like. All I kept just saying, going, your mushrooms are just so green.
For matter of fact, many years ago, my wife and I went to a guy's house. That guy has a 400-gallon SPS dominated reef tank. My wife is not very impressed about that,
No.
but she was attracted by a 55-gallon tank filled with all different kind of mushroom.
Yeah.
And that tank doesn't even have a sum. Basically, the guy just when his mushroom overgrown, he just grabs some and toss into that tank. Oh, but then created very beautiful. It basically covered with all different kind of mushroom. Yeah. So just like people say, oh, this doesn't do much to me. But then look at the mushroom. Oh, that bounce mushroom. Oh, the Posingzenia.
Yeah. I genuinely think there's something to that, because my missus Kaz she's not bothered about SPS. She calls them sticks. She doesn't like sticks. She likes stuff that moves. She likes mushrooms.
Yeah.
And I think for me, on my journey in the hobby, it was SPS. I'm going back sort of 15 years or so. SPS were always no phosphate, no nitrate, which we've talked about before on this show. You know, they were the sort of the holy grail was to keep, grow a coral from a frag to a colony, and now it's become so much more. I suppose more people are doing it now. A lot more common than before. I think some of the older corals, like I've just said with John, sorry, Steph, I've just said with John, some of the older corals that when they're almost nostalgic because it brings you a little back. I'm going to say like to your childhood, but it brings you back to sort of like when you first got the hobby, some of the corals that you saw in a shop and were like, oh, that's amazing. And I think that's really missing these days because we're constantly following this gravy train.
I think you're very correct. I think it's a fault of Facebook or Instagram. Because that the influencer keep pushing this. Oh, this is shiny. You should have this. You have the Kenya tree. Shame on you. That kind of thing, right? Yeah, but I see big Kenya tree growing into a nice colony, throwing in a water column, beautiful. And those things required.
Posingzenia is that one of the most fascinating corals for me. I love it. Yeah, I love Posingzenia. Yeah. But I was going to say, Tom, I ended last year by seeing what is probably the best tank I saw all year, and it was Paul Hughes's Caribbean inspired, and it is just incredible. And it's a little, what is it, Jim? Is it 3 foot? I think it's a 3 foot.
Yeah, it's
Caribbean biophil.
White light sort of scape, isn't it? It's no fancy blues and all that sort of stuff. It's just really natural and beautiful.
Yeah.
But it made me feel a certain way about it was an aquarium. It was, because I did Mara's, Polo, Saxby's, and they're all amazing. But Paul's little outhouse and his little tank, and I just went, this is a feeling that it's just.
I can see me going backwards with that sort of thing in the next 5-10 years, because I think going back to what I've said a couple of times, that the upkeep and the stress and the ICPs and I know people are going to be shaking their head while I'm saying this, but for me it's like you get to a point where you're just like, hang on a minute, you take a step back, it's like, this is meant to be fun, this is meant to be enjoyable, this is meant to be a hobby, and if it's not, and I'm like stressing over, have I got Vibrio or my DOCs, and it's like, no, just want to have an easier tank, and enjoy it. And I think a lot of the time you get the color contrast right with different corals, and you let stuff just grow out. It can just be so much more, if not the same, if not more impactful than an SPS.
Your tank behind you, Tom, a good example is that coral when I came round and it fell. And I said, that was the only thing I went.
Florida. Yeah, that one.
Yeah, and I looked at it, I went, that's weird. I said, what have you done there? And he went, it just fell, and it's just started to grow where it fell, and it looks mint. It just looks natural and.
Yeah. It is. Again, everybody's got their own little kinks, haven't they, in this hobby? That's what makes it different. That's what makes it individual. So I think.
For matter of fact, that when I look at my customers around this New England area. People that is really a stickhead that focus on SPS is a minority.
Yes.
Major people just want something colorful, easy to keep, flowy.
Yeah.
That and sometimes they want just a pair of clownfish and some big anemones. That's it. And but for those people, 99%, actually let's say 95% of what the social media is pushing, this technology, this method, that method, and doesn't do any service to the majority of the reefer.
That's because that's when we're obviously gone off on a tangent now from Calmados, but that's for me where the hobby becomes a competition. It isn't a hobby, it's a competition. Who can grow it faster, more colour, more polyp extension?
Yeah.
All these different traits.
Every hobby has it.
And that is unfortunately where it becomes, and that's when fashion gets involved, and it becomes fashion. And that's why it's named this silly name, because it's a fashion.
One of my favourite tanks on Instagram is just a cube tank, GSP over the back wall, the side walls, the whole rockscape, just GSP, and it's mesmerising. And I think that is use such a basic coral to such good effect. I want to replicate it. It's like that's encapsulated me, and I've got all the sticks and stuff going on which I like, but I'm like that one tank as basic as it comes.
Yeah.
Like, that's the nuts.
Yeah.
But you've just took the words out of my mouth. That's what should matter. It's what encapsulates you.
100%.
Not what you think you should keep based on what other people are liking on Instagram.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I've fallen foul of that over the years. I can't say that I haven't bought a coral because it was the latest trend or I thought it was cool or, I wanted this. And they do look amazing. But, there are equally other corals that are probably easy to keep, a lot cheaper, that are equally as amazing that I think, unfortunately, we do sort of, ignore or we're embarrassed to keep them. Like I think one of you said earlier, it's like, oh, he's got a Kenya tree, or oh, he's got this. It's like, and don't matter, does it?
Because there's so many colorful, easy to keep
tree.
coral, and many of them does not even require carbon dosing or even any dosing. It can be ultra simple. It doesn't need a sum. It doesn't need a protein skimmer.
And beneficial. These soft corals are beneficial. They consume nutrients as well, so
exactly.
There's so many different things. And there's many roads to Damascus, as they say. And I think
exactly.
This hobby is an art. It's an art form. It's creation. It's composition. It's
there you go. That's the carbon dosing epiphany. Then, if you're a bit of you've got a hectic lifestyle, or you're a lazy fish keeper, and you've got real nutrient problems, don't try and pitch for sticks. Just do a softy tank and make that suit your lifestyle.
Yeah. That's the solution.
Make it easy.
Go something easy. It's not because your neighbor, your friend are keeping a Angry Bird and you have to do it the same way. You may not even find that freaking little stick appealing. You probably think your posing zinnia is more appealing, but your friend just keep telling me that's a pest. Yeah. Because you listen to your friend, you turn on your Facebook, you look at your Instagram. That is what poisoning your mind. You should ignore this kind of thing and do whatever you actually enjoy.
Hi, Will from BRS is with us as well today. The tank I'm sitting next to right now is as a light, a heater, powered. It's full of zoas and softies. It's so easy.
And Will, can you just comment? Can you just comment and just tell us how you feel when you look at that tank? How does it make you feel right now? Because it's chill. It's just chilling it. That kind of ease and stress-free tank. I've got one over there, that floating Casa, and it's just there's no to it because it's floating on a shelf on a wall. I've had to keep it quite simple, but it's just got some softies in it, a few, quite a lot of tube anemones, and it's just.
I think the other thing as well is that when you're trying to we pick corals based on, well, not everybody. I'm just probably speaking for myself here, but a lot of people will pick. You buy with your eyes, don't you? You buy a coral because you want it because it looks nice. You don't think about who it's going in the tank with, where it's going, what it needs. You just know that you want that a little bit like Pokemon because you've got to have them all.
I was just gonna say, just like you want the shiny Charizard, Tom, don't you? And you've turned up to battle, and you've got a smart battler here who's got his little cards ready, and he's going, "Oh, you get your Charizard out then, mate. Go on, bang."
So what I'm trying to say is like,
Yeah.
all the input. Like if you went out and bought a dog or a cat, you would look at diet, exercise, environment.
Yeah.
All these would be variables as to whether or not you invested in that life of that animal. But when it comes to a coral, half the time it's literally like, no, I've got that coral, I've got that one, I've got that. That's the one I haven't got. I need to have it, even though you might not need it or have the room for it or the right environment or have the time for it or the budget to look after it or the husbandry. There's so many caveats to it. I really think there is, and I've learned so much over the last few years. All my reefing of it.
For example, that when I see people getting out of the hobby, many times there is citing the financial issue. Something broke, doesn't have money to fix it.
Something died.
And then the something die and then cannot replace it. This that I sometimes I think this is what they are doing are not a hobby at all. It's more like a burden.
Like a job.
It's a job. It's a burden.
Yeah.
It is to impress other people. So, for example, there's a guy many years ago came in and said, "Don't show me any coral that less than $300." I said, "What?" So, don't show me any coral less than $300. So,
Idiots.
oh my God. So and
What's
also
his
people
Instagram handle? He's definitely an Instagram.
yeah. And they always ask, "What's the name of that coral?" I said, "Hell, that thing has no name. You want to name it?" So that is a lot of this social media. Yeah, this peer pressure. It become, and also the collector syndrome, right? Tiny little frags all over the place. I have this name brand coral. But if you look at the coral tank, it look like what? It look like sperm bank specimen. All the specimens sitting there. It's not a natural.
Well, I mean, obviously, you know, it is what it is. We're going over the 2-hour mark. But I mean, you imagine what people must think you look like when you're sat in front of a tank, wearing orange glasses. Like, how silly
if your neighbours they're walking the dog and look in your living room and see you like that, and trust me, I worry about that quite a lot, especially if I'm filming a freaking video. I'm like, oh. What do you look like here?
It's 9 o'clock in the morning. And there's blue light coming out of that house, and he's in his boxer shorts, and he's wearing sunglasses.
Yeah, orange.
Yeah, maybe it's something to do with Pokemon.
But the point I'm trying to make with the orange glasses is that, like, like I said, my mum got me into hobby many years ago because we had a tank as a family and whatnot. But orange glasses were never a thing, and all of a sudden you're manipulating colours and corals and light contrasts, and it's just like, and then Instagram or social, in general, and influencing and marketing, and it's just like, do you not think that sometimes we might just have to go, hang on a minute, have we lost complete like where we are with the whole hobby and animals and what we're keeping in this glass box? Because
it's taken the hobby away, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's created more stress than a hobby was supposed to alleviate.
Yeah.
Keeping up
and
with
actually, the stress level is directly proportional how many things you plug into the wall.
Yeah.
The more equipment you plug in there, the more stressful actually you are.
True. More things that can go wrong. Definitely.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, we lost Stefan.
Steph's obviously gone because he's clearly bored. Now I think his battery's probably gone. I'll wrap us up there because we're past the 2-hour mark, gentlemen. Thank you ever so much to Don for putting that slideshow together. Oh, he's back. Yeah. Is he here? Is he Wi-Fi dependent?
The surrounding circle.
No. I will put him back in the green room. Anyway, yes. Thanks for putting that together, Don. Much appreciated.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Jamie's made loads of notes. Thanks to everybody else for tuning in. Oh, he's back. He's here. Battery died.
Yeah.
No, my dad were calling me. My dad called me on my phone, and it came on my iPad. And
Oh, you're fine. I was just
So-
literally just saying we're gonna wrap it up here. We're past the 2-hour mark, and a big thanks to Dong for putting that presentation.
yeah,
together.
as always, Dong.
Yeah.
It's always. I love this. I do like it.
Yeah.
It's great. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
So myself, Jamie, and Steph will be back here next Friday, and we are going to be welcoming D&D to the show. We're going to be talking to us about a new array of products that have just recently released. I'm sure most reefers have seen them in the UK. The Function, is it Function Spectrum LEDs lights?
Function and Spectrum.
Function and
yep.
Spectrum. Yes,
Right,
I've been
pumps.
lucky enough to have one of the pumps in the garage for the last couple of weeks to play around with it. Very excited to talk to them about that. Plus, obviously, a wide array of products and services that they offer as a UK brand, as I'm sure everybody will be familiar with. So tune in with us next Friday for that. Should be good. Dong, thanks ever so much again. As we always say, thanks for your contribution to the live show. Really do appreciate it. Jamie, thanks for coming on, man. Happy Friday.
Yep.
Hope you have a good weekend.
Happy Friday.
Yeah. Steph,
Yep.
you'll have to
Have a
tell
weekend,
me how you did
guys.
how you did that emoji on your little comment there. You'll see you Wednesday. You and
I'll see you Wednesday.
Dave's going to see us. But yes, thanks to the 60 odd of you that have tuned in this Friday afternoon/evening to support the network. We really do appreciate it. We will be back next Friday, as I've just said, with some of the faces from D&D. That leaves me last to say, have a good weekend, whatever you're getting up to, and we'll see you all next week. Take care for now. Bye-bye.
Happy weekend.
Bye.